Good morning. Good to see everybody on our fifth Sunday of the month. So it's our family worship Sunday, and it's also Palm Sunday, which means that we have a very important story to tell this morning, and we're centered this morning around our kids. And so if there's any kids out there that are not sitting up here and you want to be sitting up here, now's your chance to come up. You guys are welcome to sit in the front because the lesson I've got is especially for you guys this morning. Want to invite all the grown-ups to turn over to Matthew chapter 21 this morning. That's where we're going to take our story, and some of our young men helped read through that. But today is Palm Sunday. Next Sunday is Easter. And Easter is the day when Jesus did what? Who remembers? What happened on Easter Sunday? He rose from the dead, right? But the week leading up to Easter Sunday is a very important week in the life of Jesus. It was his last week on earth before he was crucified on the cross. And this Sunday, the Sunday we call Palm Sunday, is the Sunday when he went to Jerusalem and everything started to happen in his life. And so we're going to talk about Palm Sunday today, and I'm going to tell you guys about some really important characters in this story, okay? So, number one, this is the character we're going to talk about first. You guys ready? The character is the donkey. You guys ready to talk about the donkey? Okay, did you know how important donkeys can be in the Bible? This donkey's really important, okay? Now think about donkeys for a minute. Donkeys aren't an animal we talk about a lot because nobody really thinks much about donkeys. Nobody's like, I can't wait till I grow up so I can buy my own donkey. I've never heard anybody say that. Because donkeys are used mostly for the work that no other animal wants to do. You put big loads on donkeys and they help you get work done. But donkeys aren't the kind of animal we talk about a lot. Nobody goes to the zoo to see a donkey. But in this story, donkeys are very important, okay? So this is what the Bible says. It says, as they approached Jerusalem and they came to Bethphage on the Mount of Olives, Jesus sent two disciples, saying to them, go to the village ahead of you, and at once you will find a donkey tied up there with her colt by her. Do you guys know what a colt is? It's like a young donkey. So it's like a mommy donkey and a little donkey, and they're together. And Jesus said, untie them and bring them to me, and if anyone says anything to you, say that the Lord needs them, and he will send them right away. So Jesus gives his disciples kind of a strange job. Go into town and find a mommy donkey and her baby donkey and get them ready for me. That's what he tells them to do. And then Matthew tells us that this happened because a prophet named Zechariah said this would happen a long time ago. This is what he said, say to the daughter Zion, your king comes to you, gentle and riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey. Now, I want you guys to think about this with me for just a minute. I asked my kids at chapel this last week. I said, if you were going to be a powerful king or a powerful queen, and you were going to ride into town to show everyone how powerful you were, what animal would you choose to ride on? One little boy said a turtle. I don't know that that's a really good idea. But there were some answers that were really popular, okay? You know what the girls said? Guess what their most popular answer was? They said, if I was going to be a queen, I would ride on a unicorn. Yes, that's what they wanted to ride on, right? Because what portrays power more than a beautiful, majestic unicorn? And the boys decided that the coolest thing you could ride on if you were a powerful king was, guess what? A tiger. Yeah, that shows power, right? If you rode on town on a tiger, do you think people would pay attention to you? Yeah, you bet. No. Yes, they would. Do you guys know throughout history what kind of animal most kings chose to ride on? What? No. A horse. A horse. Yeah, you meant to say horse. Yeah, you meant to say horse. That's right. Okay, they ride into town on horses because horses show power and they show privilege. And if you want to show everyone what a powerful king you are, you ride into town on the biggest, most beautiful horse you can find. But Jesus didn't pick a horse, and he didn't pick a unicorn, and he didn't pick a tiger. He didn't even pick a turtle. What did he pick? A donkey. And he rode into town on a donkey. And the reason for that is very important. Because Jesus was going to show everyone that he was a king, but he was a different kind of king. In fact, this is what Zechariah tells us. Your king comes to you gentle and riding on a donkey. Most kings, they want you to see how strong they are. Jesus wanted everyone to see how gentle he was. Is Jesus strong? Yes. Jesus is the King of kings and the Lord of lords. There's never been a king more powerful or stronger than he was. But what he wanted everybody to see on that day is that he was gentle and that he was doing something special for us. So the first character in our story is a donkey. The second character is the king. Jesus is a king, and that's something we don't talk enough about. Jesus is a king, and I want you to think about this with me for just a moment. It said the disciples went and did as Jesus had instructed them, and they brought the donkey and the colt, and they placed their cloaks on them. That's their coats for Jesus to sit on. And when Jesus got into town on the donkey, guess what? There were a bunch of people there waiting for him. They were excited to see Jesus come into town. Remember, Jesus was performing miracles. He was feeding large crowds. He was doing things nobody could explain, and everybody thought he was amazing. And so they were excited for him when he came into town. And this is what they did when he got to town. They started to put their coats on the road, and they cut branches from palm trees, and they put them on the ground. And that's where we get the name Palm Sunday. This was their way of showing Jesus how special they thought he was. In fact, they started shouting things at Jesus when he came into town. You know what they said? They said, "Hosanna, Son of David. Blessed who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest heaven." The word Hosanna means save us. They were saying, "Save us, Son of David." Now that word Son of David is very important because, listen, a long time ago, do you guys remember King David? He defeated Goliath, and he became a very powerful king. Well, God made a promise to David a long time ago. And the promise he made was that one day from David's family would come the greatest king that ever lived. And this king would be special because he would be a forever king. Now, what's different about that? Well, most kings reign for a little while and then maybe they get defeated by an enemy, or they get sick, or they get too old and they can't do the job anymore. But this king was going to be king forever. And so when the people were saying, "Hey, you are the Son of David," that was their way of saying, "We think that you are the forever king that we've been waiting for all this time." And that's a very important part of this story. When Jesus came into town, the whole city started to ask, "Who is this?" And people said, "This is Jesus, the prophet." All right, listen, guys. There are three kinds of people. There are people who believe in Jesus. There are people who are still trying to figure out who Jesus is. And then there are people who don't believe in Jesus. Three kinds of people. And all three of those people are in this story. So there's people who believe in Jesus, and they're saying, "Our forever king has come." And then there's people asking, "Who is this guy?" And then there's a third kind of person, and that's the people we're going to call the doubters this morning. They don't believe in Jesus. In fact, they're mad at Jesus. They're not happy that Jesus came to town. They're trying to stop Jesus. They don't like what Jesus is doing. And Jesus, when he got to town, he went into the temple, and he did something kind of crazy. He drove out all who were buying and selling there, and he got mad at the people who were using God's temple to make money, and he chased them out of the temple. People couldn't believe what he was doing, and he said, "It's written, my house will be called a house of prayer, but you're making it a den of robbers." And this is what happened. Blind people and sick people came to Jesus, and he started to heal them right there at the temple. But the people who were in charge, the chief priests and the teachers, these are the guys that still doubted, and they were mad, and they didn't like the attention Jesus was getting. And so this is what happened. Little children, like you guys, started to yell something at the top of their lungs. They said, "Hosanna to the Son of David." In other words, the little kids there knew who Jesus was. They knew he was the forever king that they've been waiting for. Even though the people in charge didn't know it, the kids knew it. And that's something I want to talk to you guys about, because here's the best part of this story. It's what has to do with you guys. It's the characters we don't talk a lot about in this story. It's the kids, the children. The little kids in this story play a really important part, and so do you guys. You guys play a very important part in this story. So the people who were in charge, who were mad at Jesus, they said, "Hey, listen to what these kids are yelling. Aren't you going to stop them?" And this is what Jesus said. He said, "Have you never read, From the lips of children and infants, you, Lord, have called forth your praise. Jesus is saying, actually, you need to listen to these kids because they know something you don't. They know who I am. That's what Jesus was saying to these people who were in charge. And this is what I want you guys to think about today. Have you guys ever thought about what it would be like if you were teachers? Not like when you grow up, but like right now. What if you went to school on Monday and instead of the teachers teaching, you guys got to teach? Do you think that would go well? I think it would go well for like 5 minutes and then things would start to get a little crazy, right? But you guys are used to, listen, you guys are used to life like this. You go to class, you go to school, you go home, and grown-ups teach you what grown-ups know, and you have to learn what grown-ups know, right? Is that what life looks like? Yes? Okay. What if it was different? What if you guys had something to teach grown-ups? And in fact, you want to know something? You do. Do you guys know you guys can teach us stuff every day? I've been thinking about that this week a lot. I've been thinking, what can kids teach grown-ups that we need to remember? Most of it's stuff we already knew, we just forgot. And you guys can do a good job teaching us this stuff. Okay, listen, number one, here's an important thing you guys can teach us. Caterpillars, or calipiters, as Paisley likes to say, are amazing. You guys agree with that? Are caterpillars pretty cool? All right. Paisley got a gift this week of, how many are in there? Like 5 or 6? 5 caterpillars. And they're starting to spin cocoons. And she came downstairs last night, or yesterday morning, saw the cocoons, and she just stopped dead in her tracks. Here's what I'm trying to get across. Have you ever watched children wonder at the smallest things? Guys, do you want to know something? Being a grown-up's hard sometimes. And we get so busy and we get so worried about all the stuff we have to do. We just go from one place to the next place and we never stop to look at all the amazing things God put in front of us. But you guys can remind us that God made lots of amazing things and we need to take time to notice those things. Grown-ups, have you ever seen how long a child can stand and stare at a roly-poly on the way to school in the morning? I talk to kids or other parents at school, they're like, our biggest challenge is getting our children to school because they have to stop and save every roly-poly they find along the way. I don't care a thing about roly-polies, but maybe I should. Children have this innate ability to see God's goodness all around them. And so guys, never stop reminding us that little things are amazing in big ways. Here's another thing you can teach us. Nothing in the world is better than playing with friends. Do you guys agree with that? Okay, how many of you are in school right now? Okay, what is the best part of school? What? What part? What's the best part of school? Recess. Somebody just said it. Recess. Anybody agree with that? Parents, how many of you wish you had recess at work? Okay. Best part of recess is that A, you get to work the squigglies out, but B, you get to spend time with your friends, right? Nothing's better than just spending time with people you love. And sometimes grown-ups forget that. Did you know one of the biggest things that grown men like me struggle with in the world right now? You know what it is? It's loneliness. A lot of us are really lonely right now because we're so busy at work, we forget to just spend time with the people we love. That's what makes church so amazing. Did you know that? You guys are going to do that after church is over, aren't you? You're going to go out there and you're going to scream and you're going to run around and you're going to have fun with each other. Sometimes grown-ups forget the gift that God gave us that is each other. Sometimes the greatest thing we can do is just spend time with each other. This is another thing you can remind us of. A hug from someone you love can fix a lot of things, can't it? If you guys get an owie at home, who do you go to? You run to mom or dad, right? And what do? They put a Band-Aid on it and they give you a big hug, right? And sometimes hugs are even better than Band-Aids. We forget how much we need love from each other and how much we rely on each other to help soothe the things that hurt us. And kids are constant reminders of that reality. And this is another thing, that forgiving someone is better than staying mad at somebody. Here, I'm going to tell you guys something. Listen, this is important. I'm going to tell you something that us grown-ups don't tell you enough. Did you know, as much as we try to be perfect mommies and daddies, sometimes we do a pretty bad job of it. We try really hard. We pray about it all the time. We know that the biggest job God's given us in this whole world is helping you guys become faithful servants of God, and we think about that all the time, but sometimes we're tired, or we're cranky, or we're busy, or we're distracted, and we don't do a very good job of it, and that hurts us. But what we see in you, and this is something I've seen in my own daughter, it's amazing. I can screw up big time as a dad, and all I have to do is ask, and she forgives me. Because it's a lot better to just forgive somebody than stay mad at them forever, isn't it? And kids show us that. And this is another important one. One more after, but this one's really important. Did you know, listen guys, singing comes from where? Comes from your heart, that's right. Not from your voices. I mean, we sing with our voices, right? But what is singing really? It's the language of our heart, right? And grown-ups forget this sometimes because we're so worried about what we sound like that we don't stop and think about what it is to sing, right? So, hey, let's pause for a minute, squirrels. Let's sing together. Can you guys stand up with me? All right, we're going to sing a song together. I know you guys like this one, okay? Let's sing loud. Let's show the grown-ups what it looks like to sing from your heart. Okay, grown-ups, can you join us? All right, let's sing this song. Blue skies and rainbows and sunbeams from heaven are what I can see when my heart's in me. I know that Jesus is love and alive today. He makes his home in my heart. Nevermore will I be all alone since he promised me that we never will part. Tall mountains, green valleys, of beauty that surrounds me, all makes me aware of the one made it all. I know that Jesus is love and alive today. He makes his home in my heart. Nevermore will I be all alone since he promised me that we never will part. I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus, for it is the power that saves us today. I know that Jesus is love and alive today. He makes his home in my heart. Nevermore will I be all alone since he promised me that we never will part. Sit down. It's fun to sing. And singing comes from our heart, right? And sometimes grown-ups forget what it's like to just sing like a child. And then here's the last thing that you guys need to remind us, always, that Jesus is our forever King. In this story, the grown-ups in charge of everything didn't believe who Jesus was, but the little kids knew it. And they knew it in their hearts. What do we sing? Jesus is well and alive today. He makes his home where? In our hearts, right? Sometimes grown-ups, we spend so much time thinking about, well, what proof do we have that Jesus is here? And we know the best proof of all, it's that I feel him in my heart, right? You guys have such important lessons to teach us, just like the kids on Palm Sunday did. When they showed the grown-ups what it really meant to be children of God, to know that Jesus is our forever King. All right? And that's what happened on Palm Sunday. I am losing my audience, so we are going to wrap up now. All right, everybody, let's stand. We got one more song we're going to sing.
Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praises. Lord, I love to sing your praises. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save.